And I think a lot of us are now thinking it's time to move on and get moving, get life on the move again. We've done our period of seclusion, and it's been very useful for some of us, I must say, not very useful for others, and a complete disaster for others also. But I think these teachings, they do help us to manage the situation that we are in, this pandemic, and it helps us to use this time creatively, actually. And it's not easy because unless we're in a good space, it's very difficult to get into these practices. But I do believe if we, even if we feel really uninspired or a bit flat or something like this, just to sit down and be with it. Don't just wallow in despair or depression, or I mean, this may not apply to you. I'm just speaking generally, but you know, even if you're feeling uninspired, I think that's the time when you can sit down and try some of these practices, and then it's magic. Suddenly the mind changes. You may have noticed that yourself, that sometimes your morning practice starts off being really half-hearted, and at the end of your practice, you feel really fantastic. So bearing this in mind, we're going to start off with a reflective one, part of Jnana Yoga, Advaita, and it's Dharana number 76. I think I've given it before, but it's such a thought-provoking and such a simple one. I think it's worth us just going for it. And it goes as follows: My beloved. Remember, there's this intimate connection between these two people, whether you understand them as gods and goddesses or practitioners or teachers and students. I mean, that's irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. The main thing is the teachings. So the Dharana, practice number 76, says as follows: My beloved, thoughts do not indicate the fundamental cause and basis of everything. Moreover, they are deceptive and illusory. Thoughts, and this is provocative also, thoughts do not belong to anyone. So that's the essence of it. And it's difficult, and the proposition is mental also. The very fact that it says this, it's the mental statement, but it's pointing to something actually which is beyond our intellectual proposition. This is always the case with these practices. They're indicating something beyond the words, of course. So thoughts do not indicate the fundamental cause and basis of everything. It's impossible for us to understand because we use our mind to understand, and it's saying here, whatever the mind throws up, it's not really the essential basis of our existence. It's very difficult for us to understand this because we assume that thoughts are the way to understanding. And they are, of course, in our daily life, but they are not if we are looking to understand, to realize actually is the right word, on a deeper level. Moreover, they are deceptive and illusory. So we know it very well. Eh? Sometimes we think something and we act on something with that thought, only to find out that our thinking was completely, misguided. I'm sure everyone has experienced this hundreds of times in your lives. I certainly have. Sometimes I think I've understood something, I've assumed something, and actually it's just nonsense. But you may put in action, a whole flow of actions are based on this delusory understanding. Of course, not all thoughts are delusory. Most of our thoughts are probably related to what is actually going on in front of us and within us and around us. But a lot of our thoughts are delusory, you know, especially when we start talking about spiritual things. There we can very easily buy into a concept which is maybe just an imagination, actually. And I'm sure, worldwide, there's all these concepts. They have their place. I'm not anti-concept, and I'm not anti-symbol, far from it. In India, I had enormous contact with all kinds of deities and things, and it was great fun. But, you know, they are concepts still. So, and the last proposition here, thoughts do not belong to anyone. Well, that's nonsense. My thought is my thought, and your thought is your thought. The implication here is that the thoughts, the basis of the thoughts, they come from a deeper level. We could call it the Akashic records. We can call it the subconscious, the collective unconscious, different names actually. So the implication is, though we take possession of thoughts, we say, well, I have, this is my thought. It's assumed that this is my thought. The thought actually arrives from another level of being, which is not actually individual. We take possession of a thought, and then it becomes my thought. So this is what this is saying. The basis of thought is not in our brain, actually. It's not an individual thing. It comes from another, more subtle level of being, and it bubbles up, and then we take possession of that thought, and then it becomes my thought. Okay, I've been chattering on a bit too much here, so we're going to do some practice and reflect on this. And remember, the proposition is mental, but it's pointing to the to the reality, actually, which is beyond the mental proposition. So let's make ourselves comfortable. Let's move the body. Close your eyes. And bring your attention to the Dwadashanta. Remember the space or the energy field, which is arbitrarily taken as 12 finger widths from the surface of your physical body. So it's like you are tuning in to the inner space of your physical body. Often we say, imagine your body is an empty vessel. It's the same process, but here the space is not just within the physical body, but the virtual space is within the Dwadashanta. It's slightly wider than the physical body. And of course, this brings us immediately into the present moment. And let's reflect on the proposition of this particular Dharana 76. Thoughts do not indicate the fundamental cause and basis of everything. Even intellectually, it means with thinking, you can appreciate this actually. After all, thoughts are kind of subtle objects. Thoughts are, in fact, a manifestation of energy. They are a manifestation of nature. We have somehow given a lot of importance to thought, and that's fine. And this is how human society has evolved. But even we can appreciate in this moment that any thoughts that we are having they are expressions of something more fundamental. And the benefit of this, of course, is that even when our mind is behaving like a galloping horse, constant thinking, a part of us can appreciate, again, even if it's intellectual, we can appreciate that the thoughts, though we are buying into them and we take them very seriously, they are still expressions of something more profound. We can't conceptualize, because conceptualize is thinking again. We can't conceptualize the nature of this basis, this reality which underlies thoughts. But in this moment, with awareness of this spaciousness within the Dwadashanta, we can appreciate even in our experience that thoughts somehow do not reveal their source. Of course, life goes on and we think all through the day. We think what we'll take for breakfast, or whether we go shopping, or whether we telephone someone. I mean, these thoughts will carry on, of course. But the proposition of this dharana is to somehow appreciate thoughts cannot reveal the reality that underlies thought. And the second proposition is they are deceptive and illusory. Try to think of an example, and if you look carefully, I'm sure you will find hundreds, but just one example where you have understood something. Maybe someone said something to you and you misinterpreted what they said, and you started acting from your misinterpretation and maybe created confusion. And then you suddenly realized that what you had understood was completely wrong. It could be illness also. Think of time when you maybe thought that you had some illness and you were making all kinds of preparations or reactions, and then you got the information that actually your understanding was completely wrong. Yeah, I mean, most of our thoughts we assume are reasonably accurate in daily life. Probably, I don't know what the percentage is, probably 95% of our thoughts are probably accurate and appropriate to a given situation. But a certain percentage are completely, I don't know the expression, off the planet or completely wrong. And the third proposition is thoughts do not belong to anyone. So you are aware of this space, this inner space within the Dvadashanta. And there may be thoughts, there may be no thoughts. But whatever thoughts you may be having, where do they come from actually? The materialistic paradigm, which most of us have been educated in, would say it's due to synaptic processes in the brain. But from the yogic perspective, this is just not true. Thoughts are subtle energies. In yogic parlance, they are subtle objects, actually. Where do they come from? It is almost childish and simplistic to say our thoughts are due to synaptic processes in the brain. I repeat, thoughts arise, and because of the structure of our personality, we attract certain thoughts. That is absolutely evident due to the conditioning, the structure of our personality. We attract certain thoughts according to situations, fears, maybe concerns, necessities of action, work. We attract. But where do the thoughts come from? The proposition is that there is a source from which these archetypal thoughts arise. They come from the world of archetypes. Then we take possession and we say, well, it's my thought. I'm thinking that I should do this and do that. So these are three propositions which you don't have to accept, but it's worth bearing them in mind at least. Because by bearing in mind what they are indicating, there's an openness somehow, openness in us. It creates a channel or an openness which may allow us in moments of clarity to grasp, to realize the deeper meaning behind these statements. And the dharana, I haven't given you all the dharana. The dharana finishes with, when you completely accept this, or you understand this, then you will realize your essential nature as consciousness, which is beyond thought, of course. So questioning is a fundamental part of yoga, any form of yoga actually, but specifically, especially in the path of Jnana Yoga, Advaita. But questioning is fundamental in all paths of yoga. Because questioning opens us up beyond what we have unquestionably believed. It creates an openness, and it's in this openness that we can start to understand on another level. So now you can feel the contact of your body with the ground. And start to move your body to remove any stiffness. Right, that's kind of heady stuff. I don't think it's heady stuff actually, but you may think it's very heady. It's a matter of opinion. But I really emphasize, we should question, question fundamental issues in our life. Daily life, we don't need to question. Life goes on. We have breakfast at a certain time. We don't need to question whether it's the right time or the wrong time or whatever. Let's keep life simple. But fundamental issues, and yoga is about fundamental issues. There, questioning is, for me at least, fundamental. So now we're going to do something a bit more earthy, I think. And we're going to do number 6. Dharana number 6, if you've got the text in front of you. And I'm going to elaborate, of course. You may have noticed that with these dharanas, I'm very much elaborating on them. So number 6 goes as follows, and this will be quite a long one, I think. And many of you may know of this before. I often give this as a meditation because it kind of encompasses all the different facets of our life. So dharana number 6 goes as follows. Meditate on the lightning-like energy moving upward successively from chakra to chakra. Ultimately, this can lead to the osmotic identification with consciousness. So remember this Vijnana Bhairava, it's a tantric text. It belongs to Kashmir Shaivism, which is tantric teaching. And there they don't deny anything about life. They're saying life is. Let's embrace life. We don't need to get on our high horse and pretend we're above life. And no, we are human beings with all our foibles and so forth. So this is fundamental in this text. So there are, it's talking about going through the different chakra levels, symbolically, of course. Although the chakras represent real energies and qualities of your personality, there's no question. But here we're going to look at them symbolically. And it's very simple symbolism, actually, not even very difficult. Doesn't need to be difficult. So let's, again, make ourselves comfortable. Take this opportunity to appreciate our body. Give it some love and attention. It loves it. Your body loves being loved. The cells, I'm sure, I've never seen any scientific proof of this, maybe it exists. I'm sure the cells start vibrating at another level when we turn our attention inwards and pay attention and appreciate, just the appreciation. Right, comfortable position. Eyes closed. And internalizing to the, you have a choice actually, the space within the body, the physical body, or the space within the Dwadashanta. Whatever you find suits you. And the proposition of this, unwritten of course, is that this awareness that we are talking about, without being able to define it, this consciousness exists at every level of our personality and at every level of our experience in life, whether it's positive, negative, pleasant, unpleasant, whatever. At every level of our personality and in every experience of life, this awareness is there. It has to be there. So bringing your attention to the base of the spine, to the point, if you are sitting, and I think most of you are, where your body's touching the ground, the point of the Muladhara chakra, which symbolizes the whole body actually, is symbolically placed at the base of the spine. And in our physicality, we are conscious. We are conscious of our physicality. When we have a pain in the belly, when we have gurgling in our digestive system, blood pulse, we are conscious of this. We are conscious of touch. We are conscious of movement, all things associated with the physical body. There are many processes, of course, which are unconscious in the sense that we are not conscious of them. They take place, but we're not conscious of all the different processes in the body. If we were, we would probably find life quite difficult, actually. So, symbolized by the color red, the color of blood, the color of life. So feel at the base of the spine. Try to visualize if you can, and if you can't visualize, just think of it, the color red. Which expands to encompass your whole body, so that your whole body is scintillating with this red energy field. And then bring your attention upwards slightly to the pelvic region. We needn't be specific. To the Swadhisthana, which represents gender, male, female, or some mix, sexuality. So in the pelvic region, visualize the color orange. Which expands to encompass your whole body. Your whole body is resonating, scintillating with the color orange. Then moving upwards a little bit to your navel, to the Manipur chakra, vitality, drive. This enormous storehouse almost of energy which we have to accomplish the things we have to do and want to do in our lives. And this symbolized by the yellow, the yellow of the sun. For obvious symbolic reasons, the sun nourishes the planet Earth and everything on it. And in the same way, in our body, the Manipur nourishes the whole body with energy. And this yellow expands so that your whole body is scintillating, resonating in this yellow energy field. Then you can move up to the center of the chest, to the Anahat, feelings, love, caring, those qualities which really make us truly human beings. Symbolized by the color green, in which there are patches of pink. And this color expands to encompass your whole body with this green energy field. Your whole body is bathing in this green energy field in which there are tinges of pink. Then moving upwards to the throat region, Vishuddhi, representing our capacity to communicate, symbolized by the color blue, sky blue. And this color expands to encompass your whole body so that your body is bathed in this sky blue color. Every cell of your body is scintillating in this blue energy field. And then moving your attention to the center of the head, the Agya Chakra, which symbolizes our capacity as humans of thought and intuition. Symbolized by the color mauve. Center of the head. And then this expands to encompass your whole body in a mauve energy field. Your whole body, all the cells of the body are resonating, scintillating in this mauve energy field. Then bringing your attention to the top of the head. Bright white light, but which encompasses all these different colors. And this light encompasses your whole body, so that your body is resonating in this bright white light energy field. And then this bright light comes to the Muladhara, base of the spine. And you know that this consciousness, this awareness, conscious presence, call it what you wish, is present at the physical level of our personality. And then this bright light moves to the Swadhisthana pelvic region, and you know that this consciousness, this conscious presence, is there in our gender identification and in our sexuality. Then this bright white light comes to the Manipur navel, and you know that in our actions, in our vital energy, we are also conscious. And then bringing your attention to the heart, center of the chest, the bright white light lights up that area, and you know that in our feelings, in our love and caring, there is also conscious presence. We are conscious of our feelings. Then bring your attention to the throat region, Vishuddhi, and this bright white light illuminates that area. And you know that in our communication, words, whatever, we are also conscious. And then this bright white light moves to the center of the head, and it illuminates that space. We know that we are conscious of our thoughts, and we are conscious of our intuitions. And this brings us back to the proposition of the previous Dharana 76, which said that thought cannot reveal the underlying essence of what we are. Bring your attention to your body and slowly re-establish contact with the ground, the floor, the chair, the carpet, the blanket. And slowly, when you're ready, start to move your body. But there's one more I want to practice with you. Number 29. So have you got the text there? Have a look at 29. It talks about Kal-Agni. Kal means time and Agni means fire. So it's the fire of time, fire of destruction, which is there for everyone. Everything that's manifest gets destroyed in the fire of time. But this, though we accept this as being an indisputable fact, we need not get depressed. The yogic vision based on deep experience, or not even deep experience actually, doesn't need to be deep even, but based on experience and understanding, intuition, we can realize that there is something which is not subject to time. And okay, this is not a question of belief. This should be questioned, of course. But if we practice, we can start to get insight into the truth of this understanding. Remember, yoga is not about being naive or credulous. No, it's about being able to question and getting away from too much political correctness and questioning actually assumptions. You know, in India, the ashram I lived in was on the main route to the burning ghat. So every day there would be a few bodies being taken to be burnt. And it just reminded me, and I think it reminded other people, that where there's life, there's death. And I say, this is not pessimistic. You know, yoga's about being realistic. Again, making yourself comfortable. And the dharana, just, yeah, close your eyes and I'll read the dharana. Imagine Kalagni, the fire of destruction, rising through your body from the toes upwards until the body burns to ashes. But your essential nature, which is peace personified, is untouched. It's very evocative symbol, actually. So eyes closed and visualize your whole body in the inner space. And bringing your attention to the feet. And feeling as though the feet begin to burn with flames crackling. And you can feel the bones burning in the fire of Kalagni. And the fire rises to your legs. To your abdominal area. And the fire is burning very nicely. It reaches up to your chest. And your head all burning. In the flames of Kalagni. But what you are, in essence, is untouched by the flames. Everything in time is created, sustained for some time, and dissolves. In our human life, we could say we are born, we live, and we die. But what we are in essence, a spirit or conscious presence, is not in time actually. So you can start to re-identify with your body. And when you are ready, take your time. There's absolutely no hurry. And I think this is important in our yogic practice, that we have this sense of not being pressurized to get everything done in a fixed time, just doing what we can.
Stick a question in.
Okay.
But there's one question. Is it always better to do these practices from a seated position?
The ones that we did this morning, yeah, I think so. Of course, many of the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra practices, I mean, they're done in nature, walking, talking, lying on the ground. Even at night, there's some practices that we practice at night. In the past, I used to give Vijnana Bhairava Tantra practices in the ashram, and we used to go out at midnight. And yeah, it was good. It was great. So it depends. It depends on the practice. Most of them you can do sitting. Although some of them, you can do it in other positions also. It depends on the particular practice. And of course, I haven't emphasized it this time, but I think I did last time. The idea is that in our daily life, we kind of bring in the what's the word? The essential teachings of this text, which is to be spacious in our daily situations, so that there's no separation between our formal practice, our formal yogic practice, and our daily life, so that when we're washing the dishes, it's not easier. I think it's not easy because we do easily go into habitual modes of behavior. But washing the dishes, providing you are not under pressure to get it done quick so you can get on with the next job, which is often the case, actually. But you can just wash the dishes and kind of be spacious. I mean, don't drop the plates, otherwise not good. But just being there as you're washing the dishes, and not making a big show of it. I mean, I've seen people who are kind of really putting on a big show so that they're walking along the street as though they're floating on air. Or we don't need to put a show on it, but in our daily activities, walking especially, and if we're walking consciously, then we're seeing things around us. We're not kind of lost so much in thoughts. And when we're not so lost in thoughts, then of course we see more, actually, not only innerly, but outwardly, externally. So this morning I went walking. I went for a half an hour walk, which I try to do every morning. And as I was walking, I was kind of feeling the spaciousness within me and around me. And in doing that, I was very able to see, the beautiful flowers here and there, and see the birds. So it gives us more appreciation. The problem is, of course, in modern life that we're under pressure to do 108 things before breakfast. So we're under pressure to get things done, and when we're under pressure, it's not so easy to be spacious and to be available to intuitions and the quality of each moment. That's for sure. This is the madness, in a sense, of the modern era. We're kind of packing in so much stuff. We don't really appreciate, all the things that we have in life and we do in life. It's a challenge of the modern life. But to go back to the question, the purpose of these practices, the question was sitting down or not, but the purpose is to bring them into our daily life so that we are more available to quality of how we feel and the quality of the fact that we are aware, and of course the quality of all the stuff that we can perceive through the senses. And in the book, the book that I've written, of course, on page 558, I think it's, or something like that, I've given 58 examples of where we can be more conscious in our daily life. A good one is when you take a shower. Take a shower and you can feel the water going down your body and just feeling as though it's kind of removing all tensions and blockages. And it's a nice one in the shower. Many things in any situation. I always gave the example, airports. Of course, we're not going to airports much these days, but in an airport, just when you've got all your tickets organized, whatever you need to do, just sitting and watching the constant activity and seeing that even though there's constant movement, there's a sense of spaciousness there, externally and internally. So even a very busy situation can be an opportunity of being conscious. We are conscious, I mean, there's no question, but being aware of the fact that we are conscious, it's a bit of an oxymoron, but that's something like what it is, to know that we are conscious. We are conscious, otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here now. We are conscious beings anyway, but spiritual life is identifying with the fact that we are conscious beings. It's a very difficult thing to explain, actually. The next question here. You always talk about spaciousness. I read about it, but still find it difficult to understand this concept. Any suggestions? Yeah, in the ashram, again, it's easy because I get people to walk across to where you have the vista of the valley in front of you, near the car park. You can look out onto the opposite mountains, the Brecon Beacons, and in between there's the valley and the villages and the houses and the fields and all kinds of things. But when you stand there, you can get a really good sense of external spaciousness. Spaciousness is there. It's right in front of you now. It's right in front of me. Spaciousness is a fact of manifest existence. It's not, as many think, it's the ultimate principle, because it's not. Even science tells us that everything, if you believe in Big Bangs, which I don't, but still, the Big Bang, out of the Big Bang came space. So if you believe in the Big Bang and space came out of the Big Bang, then it means that though it's difficult for us to appreciate with our thinking, with our concepts, even space is a created, it's a created element is the wrong word, it's a created principle. This is difficult for us to understand and impossible maybe with thinking, because space seems to be, everywhere, and it is everywhere in the manifest universe. Outside of the manifest universe, what happens? We haven't a clue. And if you believe in the Big Bang, then all this lot didn't arrive. It had to come from somewhere. So yeah, the concept of spaciousness. So we're trying to, it's a middle step between the thinking is there, or strong emotions, or feeling, thinking. We're lost in thoughts. We're totally identifying with thoughts. But if we've done some Hatha Yoga with Hari Om, or we've done our own practice, or we've done some mantra, you can get this sense of spaciousness in relation to thoughts. I'm sure everyone here has experienced that. Before we were identified with the thoughts, but after chanting mantra, doing Hatha Yoga, whatever it may be, doing these dharanas, we have it's a different perspective. Instead of being completely identified with these thoughts, we can observe the thoughts. And that observation seems to me, at least, to take place from a sense of spaciousness. So it's trying to evoke that sense of spaciousness that we're trying to do with many of these dharanas. Because if we can more identify with this spaciousness, even if it's for a few minutes every morning or something, then that is the stepping stone actually to identifying with conscious presence. It's a stepping stone actually. It's a way of being able to identify with conscious presence. There's other ways. I mean, the traditional yogic practice is to stop thinking. You can't stop thinking with thinking. You can't think, I'm going to stop thinking. But through focusing on a point, whatever it may be, it could be a mantra, can be a candle flame, can be an image. By focusing on one point, what we do, we cut out all the mental chatter. And when the mental chatter gets cut out, we don't need to go through spaciousness. We can go directly into self-identification with conscious presence. That's the traditional way in yoga. It's not so doable, I don't think, in the modern era, because our mind is just too busy, you know, it's busy, 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 busy. And we try to focus on an object, and immediately the mind is off here and it's off there and it's off everywhere. And then we have to we kind of force, now I'm going to concentrate, you know. The yogic texts tell me, you know, concentration, dharana, it comes before dhyana, meditation. So we force, and by forcing, of course, we are then more and more reinforced in our ego. So it's counterproductive, actually. It worked in the past, and possibly in parts of the world where there's less stress and therefore less thinking and less contact with the internet and blah, 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 it will maybe still be possible. But I think, and this is only my opinion, in the modern era, it is having this sense of spaciousness, even though you may find, well, I can't quite get my hand around it, can't get my head around it, you know. The sense of spaciousness is an easier way of allowing thoughts to be seen in perspective. And spaciousness, I repeat, is the stage. If we're in spaciousness, we are nearer to realizing our identity with consciousness than if we are lost in thought. So where are we? The dharana number 6. Lovely practice, thank you. My question is perhaps trivial. I don't think there's any trivial questions actually, but okay. But I hope not. I'm sure it's not. Recently, working with the chakras, I struggled to link the symbolism with the rainbow colors, especially since reading that they were added by Westerners from the Theosophy school. Do you have a view, and is it okay just to have white light, especially with Anahata and Agya? Yeah, I agree. I like the colors because it kind of brings in the image, well, the colors, you know, and we are affected by color. But the chakras, for me, they represent energies in our personality. And I don't totally agree with the chakra system in terms of color, actually. So it's a matter of concept. But I do think focusing on the colors and relating them to those particular facets of our personality, which we can't deny. We can't deny our physicality, Muladhara. We can't deny our gender, sexuality. We can't deny the fact that we have vital energy, which is up or down. We can't deny that we have feelings, love, etc. We can't deny that we can communicate. And we can't deny that we think. And we can't deny, certainly I can't, that we have intuitions. And the more we listen, the more we can pick up intuitions from another level. These we can't deny. It's how we symbolize that we can deny. And yeah, I would agree with the person who wrote this, that the colors, if you like color, it's a fantastic practice. If you're not much into color, then you don't need to bring in the colors. And you're right, just having white light at the chakras, whether it's the Agya, Anahata, all of them, this is as good as any. It's the same with the Bija mantras, Lam, Ram, Ram, and so forth. I mean, I like them because when I chant them, and maybe it's my conditioning, we have to think a lot of it is conditioning. If I chant Ram, I focus on the the Muladhara chakra, and it draws me into that particular focus. If I chant Ram, automatically, it's conditioning. I'm aware of this. It automatically brings me in to the Manipur chakra, navel area, you know, because that's the way I've been trained and conditioned. No question about it. But the important thing is, it takes you, and out of that focus, whether it's color, mantra, whatever it may be, out of that focus comes, I'm not giving you a written guarantee, but can come insight into the deeper reality underlying the chakras. So this is the important thing. I'm not trying to put you off using color, because I've just given a meditation with it. And it's a meditation I often give with color, because it's a nice way of integrating our whole system with these actual facets of our personality, and with color or sound or something like this. So if you don't like color, no problem, you don't need to do it. Even the animal symbols, some people say, well, you know, what's all this stuff about elephants and crocodiles and crocodiles in the Swadhisthana, and and I agree, but you know, if we've been trained with a particular association with a crocodile at the Swadhisthana, then we can get in. Not everyone. I can, because I've been kind of trained in this system when I lived in India. So when I have a crocodile, yes, I can get into the symbolism of the crocodile, and it evokes the energies at that particular chakra. You see? So a lot of it is training, and another word for training is conditioning. And I think the conditioning has its place because it allows us to do practice. But through our practice, the purpose of those symbols is to take us out of dependency on those symbols. That's how I see it. And maybe I'm wrong, and there may be people who would disagree completely with me. That's fine. But, you know, it's the same with a lot of the chakras are associated with gods and goddesses, and so many arms and so many legs, and you know, so many heads and all the rest of it. I mean, the symbolism is powerful actually, but it's only powerful if a person has been trained or conditioned. Remember, it's conditioning actually, trained by the meaning of those particular goddess or god images. If we're not, then we don't need to do it. How we function as human beings is more fundamental than these images. These images, these symbols, color, mantra, whatever, they are means to take us to a point where we're in a non-thought conscious state. That's all, you know. A symbol is to take us beyond the symbol. Doesn't matter what it is. Any symbol, if it is a functioning symbol, and everything can be a symbol actually, the purpose in spiritual science, in yoga, etc., is to take us beyond the symbol. What are your thoughts on the impact of negative energy, trauma, that you might feel permeating from someone else? Thank you for your lovely practice. Yeah, this is, I mentioned this before, I think. where as we become more sensitive, which we do through yoga, so also we become more vulnerable, I would say, to negativity from others. Yeah, this is absolutely true. But I think this is why I always say that whilst becoming more sensitive, which we do, at the same time, there should evolve naturally a more fluidity in our being, so that if someone calls us an idiot, which happens maybe, then we don't take it to heart and and get really uptight about it, and we think, well, maybe they're right. Do you understand? We don't need to take things too much to heart. Yeah, we live life passionately, we live life full on, absolutely. But simultaneously with this sensitivity which we have, because it's through this sensitivity that we start to move into intuition. At the same time, it naturally arrives that we are more transparent. That is actually the word I'm looking for. We are more transparent, so that things that people may throw at us, it kind of goes in one ear and out the other, or it comes at us and it goes on. It's like some of the moves in karate, where you don't face a person direct on, you allow their weight to bring their downfall. So, but there is this in-between stage where a person is sensitive, but still they haven't managed, or it hasn't happened, is really the best way of putting it. They haven't allowed this transparency. And this transparency arrives where we are not so fixed on our belief systems and on our interpretation or judgments, even on people. We do judge. That's what the mind does all the time. That's the way we are conditioned as human beings to judge. Good, bad, this, that. That's the way the mind functions. So we do judge. But the more light we are with our judgments, the less likely we are to be rigid and to be impacted by negative vibes from others. So that's two things that, and they don't always evolve at the same time. You may be super sensitive, then you're vulnerable to the negative impact of others. And so after some time, some of our over-judgmental tendencies can kind of become less. We're still judgmental creatures, we can't escape that, but we're less we're lighter with our judgments. We're lighter with our belief systems, and in that way, we're not knocked over by someone else's negativity. I think in this coronavirus pandemic, that more than many of us think, actually, we are sharing. I don't know whether you would agree with me, but because we're all in the same boat, we're all stuck, more or less. We're all in the same boat, and therefore we are really sharing a lot of negativity. There are a lot of people at this moment who are suffering on different levels: depression, frustration, alienation, financial difficulties, all kinds of things. And because we're all kind of stuck, we can't get on with our life, we're kind of stuck in many ways. So we pick up this collective negativity. I'm not sure, there's positivities out there also, but a lot of negativity. and we are picking it up. And I think that's to be borne in mind at the moment, that we may be feeling really negative or depressed or down. It may not be necessarily completely us. It may be that we are sharing actually a collective negativity. So I think in answer to the question, if you feel that someone is really sending you bad vibes, or they may not be sending you bad vibes, they may just be feeling bad vibes, or it may be your projection that someone is sending you bad vibes. They may not be doing it. There's different possibilities here. I think a really good way of doing it, of solving the problem, is to send when you do your meditation, when you do your practice, hatha yoga, whatever it may be, to send them positive vibes. Even if you don't like them, and I always say this, you don't like everyone, doesn't matter who you are. There are certain people who you really, don't like. Even if you don't like them, just try for a minute or two to visualize them or think of them and to send them positive vibes. I think that may not solve the problem, but I think it's very useful. And it may not only be through the ether. Maybe if you have contact with that person, it could be through email, post, telephone. Depends on the situation, of course. Some people we can't do that with. So if you can't do it directly with a person, try and resolve differences, then at least do it through the ether in your meditation. Everyone has their place actually on planet Earth, and you may not like a person, but they still have their right to be there. Yeah, sometimes in yogic texts, teachings, there is the impression that realizing our nature as consciousness is something that takes years of dedicated practice to achieve. I remember you saying once that consciousness is not hidden. In fact, it is very close, just there. I hope I remember that correctly. Can you say a few words? I could speak now until midnight on this question, actually. So I've got a bit of a problem. Yeah, by tradition, a person dedicates their life, to realizing. But the modern era is very different. I come back to what I said earlier on, where the teachings evolve according to the era. And I think in the past, in India and in this part of the world also, where nuns and monks, they kind of disappeared to monasteries and nunneries and so forth. It's very different these days. That the proposition is that we can go deeper in our understanding wherever we are. And that's why these teachings, which were hidden away, these were teachings which were kind of closeted, they are now available to any of us who are willing to be interested, who are interested, and who want to benefit from all this experimentation and exploration that has gone on for thousands of years. So the idea these days that we need to dedicate ourselves 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for years, I don't think it applies anymore. I think if our motivation is sincere, if we are starting to look with an open mind, I really believe that realization is waiting for everyone and anyone, because it's the fundamental nature of what we are. But we have, and the modern life, it's obliging us to examine our prejudices. It's very easy to be prejudiced when we're not kind of interrelating people. And this these prejudices and belief systems, they tie our mind in a knot, and this knot doesn't allow us to open up. The nature of modern life is such that we are constantly seeing confusion, yes, a lot of confusion, but we are seeing contradictory opinions. And these contradictory opinions may initially cause confusion, but eventually they loosen us up. And in loosening us up, so we are more available to insight, to intuition.